of the greatest athletes in battle, traveling from one end of the United States to the other, is what big-time competitive athletics is all about.
Gather round. It's time to pick the draft order.
How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me is Leonard. And this week we're going to be trying something new, and we are still working on the name. Basically, we are going to tackle the Four Horsemen, and we are going to do a draft of sorts where each of us draft each and every member of the stable, and then some. Leonard will get to more specifics here in a second, and then we're going to create a card based on who we've drafted, and I am accepting all name suggestions for this episode. It could be Draft Day or Draft Dodgers or, stable draft part 1, to put it simple, right, Leonard? So why don't you tell everybody exactly what's going to happen here?
All right. So this is a suggestion from our good friend of the show, Ronnie. And Ronnie has given us several show ideas over the time that we've been doing this. And as I've done more fantasy wrestling drafts and such, I think I understand the concept a little bit better. So that's why I'm taking point on this one. And we'll see how it works from here. So what Chad and I are going to do is draft our ultimate Four Horsemen stables over the course of 10 rounds, going back and forth. So according to Wikipedia, there are 14 official members of the Four Horsemen from over the years, 7 affiliate members, being those people who kind of ran with them or were involved, but never official members here and there, and 12 valets / managers / others. So what we're going to do is over the 10 rounds, we must draft 7 horsemen each. So all the official horsemen are going to go off the board. We can draft one of the members from the affiliate list, and we can draft one manager, valet, or other. Now, to get to 10 rounds, we're also going to draft one currently active talent who we would think would make a great horseman. And that's going to be the 10th round. So the last round is going to be the currently active person. But as far as the rest of the draft goes, the first 9 rounds, you can draft your horseman, your affiliate, your manager, in whatever order you want to draft them in. But that 10th round will be the currently active person. Then once we do that, Chad and I are going to go back and forth, placing the people that we've drafted into an 8-match card. The sub-main will be a tag match. So it would be the 7th match on the card. And we're going to draft from and we're going to do that from the bottom up. And we can assign that valet or manager to one of the matches. And we don't have to match people up. Like his person of today does not have to go against my person of today. They can go against any of the horseman members, and you can assign. So even after we put the match together, I can say, you know what, I think I'm going to use my manager here. I think that would work. And then we're going to talk a little bit about who we would think would win that match. And at the end, we will see who between us has won the most matches in our own opinion. And of course, your opinions are probably different out there watching. So let's see if we can make this idea work.
And Leonard wanted all the members of Fortune to be considered horsemen, and I said absolutely not. That is a different stable. That's
but that'll be maybe the next time.
Yeah, right.
So for the people watching on YouTube, I wanted something you guys could see. So I took a poker chip, and I wrote an H on it for heads. Tails is a blank back, and since I'm flipping, Chad, you get the call. You want heads or tails?
Heads.
Okay. It is. I dropped it. It is heads.
All right. So I get the first.
So you get the very first pick. So you can take whoever you want.
Ric Flair.
I would have been disappointed if you didn't.
All right. Who do you got?
So my pick, I'm going to take, and I'm doing this. If you see me online, I'm going to actually move my monitor out a little bit. You see me looking off. I'm doing old school. I'm keeping track of this all on paper. I thought it would be the easiest thing. So you know what? I'm going to go with Arn Anderson, heart and soul of the Horsemen. There in every single version in some capacity.
I am going with Sting.
But I'm going to go with Barry Windham.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mhm.
My next pick is going to be Tully Blanchard.
Tully was the other one I was thinking. Would you have taken Barry at this spot if I took Tully?
No.
Ah. Well, see, that's how a draft goes. That's why it's fun. You can never second guess the other person. So I'm gonna go with Kurt Hennig.
That's a
He
good one.
wasn't there very long, but he was there long enough.
All right. My next pick is Dean Malenko.
Dean was on. I was gonna go with Dean next. I'm gonna go with Brian Pillman.
My next pick then is going to be Sid Vicious.
Okay. I'm gonna think outside the box, and this is gonna reveal maybe who I think I'm gonna use for a tag team. But I'm gonna take my associate member right here. I'm gonna take Barry's brother, Kendall Windham.
All right. Well, my next pick is going to be Lex Luger.
Okay. I thought about maybe taking Luger there. Oh,
We're
Again,
we're both avoiding the same people. I love it.
we're both avoiding the same people. I think, and this guy, I don't know if we're okay. I'm just gonna say I will take Chris Benoit.
Okay, this is what I was waiting for.
Yeah, I mean,
You have him.
I usually do not take Benoit in these fancy drafts. I do. There's a
Right.
handful of guys I just don't take because I don't want to deal with them. And this is not a topic to get into tonight, but where do you separate the talent from the person? For example, can you still watch the Cosby Show and enjoy it? So
Right.
that's a topic for another night, maybe even another
really is.
series.
Like
A
you're
podcast.
teasing me into getting into this, but I'm not going to do that. So like,
Yeah, no. But I'd be looking at who's left on the board. I'm gonna go Chris Benoit.
all right.
Mhm.
And I am going to go with my trusty standby. He's very underrated, in my opinion. Pretty Paul Roma.
Paul, Paul, I was gonna take Roman next if you had left him on the board. So we got 2 horsemen left. I'm taking Ole Anderson.
And you know what? At this point, I am going to choose my manager,
Mm-hmm.
and that is Bobby Heenan.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to clarify, according to Wikipedia, Bobby was the coach of the Horsemen for I think it was a War Games team in 96 or something.
Yeah.
So he was on the list in Wikipedia, so he counts. So I'm going to take J.J. Dillon.
It really hurt me not to go with Miss Elizabeth just because I love her.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
does that mean that I have to choose Mongo?
Yeah, I believe so. You haven't taken your affiliate member yet, have you?
Oh, so we get a manager and affiliate.
Yeah, you
So
get one manager, one affiliate.
I'll choose Mongo. I chose Mongo. Leonard, who do you have?
Mhm.
Is there anybody left for you to choose?
Okay, I looks like I somehow, again, this is the first time that we're doing this. So I think I kind of messed up by choosing my associate earlier on. So it looks like since Chad gobbled up all the horsemen, I get a second associate member. And I'm going to go with War Machine, who was Ray Traylor, aka Big Bubba Rogers, aka the Big Boss Man, during I think it was
No Love for Guardian Angel?
On Guardian Angel, I guess, if we're going to be official and name all his gimmicks. During I think it was 87 Great American Bash Tour, they were doing a series of war games. J.J. Dillon was part of the Horseman group, got injured. So Big Bubba Rogers as War Machine replaced him under a mask. So that's my associate member. So that's our 9 people plus a manager. And now your 10th person is a currently active wrestler today.
It has to be a currently active person.
Currently active.
Okay.
So who do you have, or do you want me to go first so you can think first?
You know what? Since I know who I'm going to pick, but
Okay, take it.
Since I went first with the picks, I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'm going to take Nick Aldis.
Ooh, that's an interesting pick.
You know, he is a guy who I think he has modeled himself after the Ric Flair model. You know, the way he dresses, the way he treats the NWA World Heavyweight title, the way that he tried to put a group around himself. And since I don't have Ric Flair, and that was my plan. If I didn't get Flair, I was going to take Nick Aldis. And if I didn't get if I did have Flair, I had a few other ideas. But who do you want?
All right. Well, my pick for a currently active wrestler is tripping on acid. No. I'm going to go with Kenny Omega.
Okay. I will say not on my secondary list. But I will say that if I didn't get Barry Windham, I was going to go for Hangman Page.
That's a good one.
And I was also considering Brian Cage in sort of that Lex Luger, Sid Vicious role.
Oh yeah.
And I also thought about Brian Pillman Jr. So I could, if I had,
I got news for you. Your roster is in trouble right now.
Yes.
Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
Let's go over our lists here.
Okay.
So I have Ric Flair, Sting, Tully Blanchard, Dean Malenko, Sid Vicious, Lex Luger, Paul Roma, Steve Mongo McMichael, Kenny Omega, with the manager, coach, Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Okay. I have Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, Kurt Hennig, Brian Pillman, Kendall Windham, Chris Benoit, Ole Anderson, J.J. Dillon, The War Machine, and Nick Aldis.
So let's just talk about how you screwed up your count for Kendall Windham.
Yeah.
You were like, I cannot let Chad have Kendall Windham. I've got to gobble that one up right now.
No, the idea was if I pick everyone, I wanted to stick you with Mongo, which happened, but I think it screws me greater in the end.
Yeah. Nobody's getting Kendall Windham but me. All right.
Yeah. And in fact, I have Ole. I basically have two tag teams, but we're only going to do one tag team match.
That's true. So now we get started with our assembling of matches, and I would assume since I had the first pick that Leonard, you could get us started with the first pick for match.
Yes. So I'm going to place the first guy in the opener. So my opening talent, and so the idea here would be, do you want to just burn off someone, or do you want to put someone in the opening match that you think could put on a really good opening match? And I'm going to go with that idea, and I'm going to place in my opener Brian Pillman.
All right. And I am going to put against Brian Pillman, Dean Malenko.
Okay. Now, since we didn't know who we were going to do, you know, I'm sure that's a match that has happened, Pillman versus Malenko.
It might have. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That'd be interesting to look up. But you know, I think that's a tight match. That's a close match. I think it's a great opener.
Yeah.
You know, both those guys wrestled in a lot of openers at WCW pay-per-views during their times with the company. I don't know. That's real close to call. I think it depends on who's maybe.
Honestly, I could see this one going time limit draw.
Time limit draw? I'll give you a time limit draw on that one.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
So we're going to go with a time limit draw as the opener, but I think the fans are the true winners in that one because that's going to be a good match.
Absolutely.
All right, so you get to place the second person for the second match.
All right. So the follow-up to that tight first match, got to have a little bit of change of pace. Lex Luger.
Okay. So Lex Luger, so you put one of your big beefy dudes in there. And so my idea here is, do I throw somebody at Luger, or do I put someone with Luger that I think I might be able to win the match? And I'm gonna go with you know who I think could get a really interesting match out of Luger that we haven't seen. I don't know, this may have happened in later WCW, but I'm gonna give Kurt Hennig to Lex Luger.
That would be interesting.
Yeah. So I think Kurt is the type of guy that could really get a good match.
I can't argue for my guy here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
And I've got to win. I got to have one win on the board. and that's the win I'm gonna take. I burned Kurt Hennig just to beat Lex Luger.
Yeah. We gotta have Lex on the shelf. That's the main goal.
All right. So Kurt Hennig, my guy, wins match number 2. I'd like it to be known that I'm currently winning 1-0-1. All right. So next I'm gonna place my next person. And you know what? Let's just get him out of the way. I'm gonna throw Chris Benoit on the board.
All right. Well, no, you know what? I know what I'm going to do here. So
Okay.
I'm going to put against Chris Benoit. I'm going to put Tully Blanchard.
Okay. I think that would be a hell of a match.
It really would be. I mean, the styles are maybe a little different, but I think that it would be excellent. Either way, my opinions on Mr. Benoit aside, I do think that it would be a good match, but in this case, I can't go against Tully. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it would be an excellent match, and maybe that's a little of the Benoit bias coming in here on me. But yeah, I would give the match to Tully Blanchard.
you know what? In all seriousness, opinions about Chris Benoit aside, I could definitely see Tully grabbing the tights or putting his feet on the ropes here.
Yeah, he's cheating. He's cheating to win. It's certainly not a clean win. And oddly enough, I think most of my guys are. I think Luger would probably work face, but I think Pillman and Benoit would work face for me.
Yeah.
So, I would. So yeah, but definitely I would give it to Blanchard. I think it's a great match, and I think you make a good point in the fact that their styles are a little bit different, but I think they would mesh well. I think they would find the points where they could put a good bout together. So we are now tied at 1-1 with a draw. So you get to place the next person for match 4.
All right. And here we go. I have to let this guy go now. You might think he would have been in my main event, but it's not the case. Steve Mongo McMichael.
Mongo. All right. Now I'm left with another conundrum. Do I go for the win? Or do I give someone, or do I just throw someone at Mongo? And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw Ole Anderson at him. Because I know what I'm doing for my tag team, so I'm not going to do the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. I got to put Ole somewhere. So why not put him against Mongo? I think that's after 3 decent matches. Why not a clunker in the middle?
Yeah, this is a let me up one.
This is the nacho break match, as I like to call them.
Yeah.
So Mongo versus Ole Anderson. I gotta say, I think Ole takes it. I mean, Ole is.
You know what? I'm not even in. Like, I don't feel passionately enough about Mongo. He was my last pick, so yeah. I'm not gonna say anything against that. Yeah, I would actually, in all seriousness, I would probably put Ole over here as well.
Okay, so Ole Anderson is going to be Steve Mongo McMichael. Score is now 2-1-1. So my next pick is, I'm going to say one guy because I think I know on your side who I want him to go against. So I want you to place that guy first for me. So I got some good meat of my roster here, and I'm going to go with Barry Windham. No, wait a minute, I lie. I'm a lying sack of crap. I don't want to do Barry Windham because I was going to save him for teaming with his brother. I'm a total liar. I'm going to take that back if you don't mind. I'm going to place Arn Anderson.
I am going to give to Arn Anderson Sting.
Okay. I know that they've wrestled tons of times. I can't think of one off the top of my head. But, 2 great workers. Again, bit of a different style like we talked about with Tully and Chris Benoit, but who can work together, I think, really, really well. And I've already given the match to you on my sheet.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I think you could come up with scenarios where Arn would win, I think Sting is a guy that would be hard for Arn to beat, unless it's like mega cheating, a lot of interference,
Yeah.
Stuff like that to kind of offset it. So, I'll go with Sting. So we're 2-2-1 as of right now. So I get to place the next one, and I know who I want my main event. I know who I want for my tag team. That leaves me with War Machine.
War Machine is going up against Sid Vicious.
That's who I wanted War Machine to go up against, with Sid. So that's why I held on to him. And I think, this is Big Boss Man, but it's a younger version. It's Big Bubba Rogers' version of Boss Man.
Right.
Sid is Sid. I mean, Sid is good. Was okay at the period when he was with the Horsemen, I think. Your thoughts on? I want your thoughts first on who you think would win this.
I mean, I think this would be a good match overall as far as two big, strong men going up against each other.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that I would have to pick Sid here, not just because he's my guy. I think that maybe Ray Traylor is maybe a little bit too green here. I think Sid is maybe more seasoned as a performer in this particular matchup. That's who I would vote for, though.
Yeah, as much as I would like to argue for War Machine, and if we were talking maybe Big Boss Man versus maybe like playing softball all the time, Sid, I would go with Boss Man.
I'm totally adding that to our list of fever dreams. I'm totally adding softball Sid. That's
softball Sid, yes. Well, I think if we're saying like Sid when he was a Horseman versus the brief time that Bubba was playing War Machine, I would go Sid Vicious. Yes.
Right.
So Chad is up 3-2 to 1 draw.
So that means this is our tag match, right?
This is our tag match. So you get to place your tag team first.
All right. So my tag team is Kenny Omega and Pretty Paul Roma. I call them Alpha and Omega.
Wow, I like it. So we know that I'm doing the Wyndham brothers of Barry and Kendall. In my head, that seemed like a much better idea than it wound up being.
How does that early draft pick feel now at this point?
Sometimes you make a wrong decision early on. Sometimes you can recover from it, and sometimes you can't. The idea. See, I should have went with using the Minnesota Wrecking Crew of Arn and Ole, and I think I would have really argued for them going over Roma and Omega.
Right.
When it's the Wyndham brothers, again, they're an experience.
I wouldn't have argued with you if you had chosen Ole and Arn, and I had this team. I would have conceded to you in that case.
Yes, but with the Wyndham brothers, I mean, again, experienced teamed all the time. I think Wyndham versus Omega in a singles match would be really cool.
Oh yeah,
I think that would be great. Like you, I'd like Paul Roma. I mean, I think he's underrated. And if we're going guy versus guy, I think Roma's probably better than Kendall Wyndham. So I will eat it here and give you the tag win.
I'm excited about our main event, though.
Yeah, the main of which is what I thought we were going to do. So I'm placing, of course, the national treasure Nick Aldis,
and he will be going up against Nature Boy Ric Flair with Bobby Heenan.
All right, and since I have yet to use JJ Dillon, I was saving him. I'm going to give JJ Dillon to Aldis. So both our guys are going to have managers at ringside.
Can I just give my thoughts on this match?
Go for it.
So I do think that this would be a really good match. I need to watch more of Nick Aldis's current stuff. He's a good talent, though, and he's really come a long way. But I do think that this would be a good match. And I think Nick Aldis would be a good opponent for Flair if Flair were really playing up the cowardly acts in the ring. And you know what, though? It might surprise you. As great as Ric Flair is, I would pick Nick Aldis here.
Really?
Yep.
That does kind of surprise me, considering this is supposed to be an ultimate Four Horsemen draft, and Flair was the ultimate horseman. But again, if there's anyone working today that you could put in a time machine and send back to the 80s and say, like, replace Ric Flair. Ric Flair doesn't exist. It would probably be Nick Aldis. And I think he would wind up with a very similar, history timeline with the Horsemen and with the, the type of career that Aldis would have. And I think a lot of people out there might be surprised to hear you say that. Yeah. And I'm not gonna. I think it would be an excellent match. And I think
you're not going to argue with me.
No, I mean, I figured you were going to pick your guy, and I would say, I'll go with that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be a great match, a great back and forth contest. I think it would be a long match. I could see this going close to an hour.
Yeah.
Or a 45-minute type of thing. I think both of the managers are going to get involved on the outside. I think they're going to do some great stuff with each other.
Yeah. Can you imagine a match where Bobby Heenan and J.J. Dillon are on the outside against each other? That would be great. You don't talk about dream matches with managers too much, people, but like that to me, if there was a dream manager matchup, that would have to be on the short list, right?
Right. Yeah, and because usually, especially back in the day, the heel had the manager, not the face. So very rarely would you have two managers at ringside. A lot of times, like in WWF, you had like Captain Lou Albano on the outside against like Jimmy Hart's guys or Mr. Fuji's guys. But that's rare. So having them on the outside is great. And I'm sure if Nick Aldis would see this, and we hope he does, that he would be thrilled to know that he's going to defeat Ric Flair in the Ultimate Four Horsemen card.
So what's the tally at then?
So let's review here. Our opener, Brian Pillman versus Dean Malenko, is going to be a time limit draw. In the second matchup, Kurt Hennig will defeat Lex Luger. Tully Blanchard goes over Chris Benoit. Ole Anderson defeats Mongo McMichael. Sting defeats Arn Anderson. Sid Vicious goes over War Machine. Roma and Omega, or the Alpha and Omega, go over the Wyndham brothers. And Nick Aldis defeats Ric Flair. Nick Aldis with J.J. Dillon defeats Ric Flair with Bobby Heenan, and what some people may call an upset. So that makes it 4-3-1. So Chad wins. So maybe he threw me a bone there to be nice at the end.
No, I truly believe if it prime, well, maybe not prime. I think Nick Aldis could defeat certain eras of Ric Flair, absolutely.
Yeah. So just to backtrack here a little bit, if I would have done the Minnesota Wrecking Crew against Roma and Omega and thrown anyone else against Mongo, I would have beaten you. So
yeah, because if you had placed Barry Windham against Mongo,
yeah.
Or you know what? If it had been Barry Windham versus Sting, that would be a much more even match.
Right. I just, it was one of those things where Wyndham Sting had happened, right? And I was trying to do something a little more interesting. And again, I locked myself into using the Wyndham brothers as a tag team, where I could have fed.
Kendall Windham was your downfall.
That Kendall Windham was my downfall. I could have fed Kendall the Mongo. And made the worst match we possibly could have done.
I don't know enough about Kendall Windham's in-ring work to know who to pick there.
Yeah, I had at one point I got a bunch of like DVDs of like random stuff from Florida from back in the day, and Kendall was on a lot of that. And Kendall's thing was he was just a little too skinny. Like he wasn't bad, but he wasn't his brother and he wasn't his dad. So yeah, I mean, and at one point, considering the affiliates that we left on the board, Jeff Jarrett was there, Michael Hayes was there, Butch Reed.
I almost picked Butch Reed.
I was thinking Mike Hayes at one point too, because here's the thing: if we hadn't done the current day guy, because originally we weren't going to do that, and you had the first pick and took Ric Flair, I was going to tank the main event and do Ric Flair versus Michael Hayes. Because I don't think that was a match that ever happened, and I think it would have been a good match. I don't win that match, but that was going to be my theory on that. And of course, we could have done David Flair. So I could have had, if I had Ric Flair.
I thought about him as well, just because I had Rick already.
Yeah.
I was like, no,
So you so we could have the Wyndham brothers versus the Flairs.
That's what I don't know who would want to watch that. Well, I would want to watch that actually.
Yes, in a car crash kind of way. So there you go, folks. That is our first ever.
We thank you for bearing with us, and we thank Ronnie for the idea. It was a lot of fun, and if we do the NWO, we might have to pack a lunch.
Yes, I think we wouldn't go over 10 rounds, but we would just make it NWO people.
Yeah.
And then we would just have a larger pool of people to draw from. We wanted to do a smaller pool for this first one. This was a lot of fun, and you can see how
if when we do the NWO, I'm throwing this out there now. If Vincent is not the last pick, that person has to drink. Whoever picks him and is not the last pick, that person has to do a drink.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe we can do this with, and we can incorporate the stable draft with a drinking game next time. I'm
all for that.
We can figure out the rules.
And I don't know if you've seen the recent video with Vincent talking about some of his career highlights. It was WrestleBotch, but yes. We can put on our list eating Olive Garden breadsticks, Vincent. That's what he does in that interview. Is he eats Olive Garden?
That can be one. And just as many times as we've said his name, we probably owe him $20.
It's true.
So, folks, you can see how a draft can turn on one bad pick, one horrible pick, because I was so blind in trying to avoid Mongo McMichael. Yeah. I gave myself Kendall Windham.
See, you were trying to avoid Mongo. I was trying to avoid Benoit. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for joining us. Check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And give us a 5-star review. Like this video. Subscribe to our channel. Any help we can get, we appreciate. For Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next week.